Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm Richard, this is Lap of the World, and this is our 234,000 mile 1992 Acura NSX in its current form. We've just entered our 17th year of ownership and just driven our 37th different racetrack, and we've often been asked what we've done to the car. Let's answer that. If you've been following the channel, you'll know that we've just finished a pretty big round of revisions, so it seemed like a good time to pause and reflect on how our setup has changed in those past 16 years. Now, of course, there is a lot to unpack here, so to keep thoughts and timelines organized, we're going to lean on everybody's favorite internet car trope and talk about things in stages. Here we go. We somewhat famously bought this car for not a lot of money back in 2008, and at the time, with around 200,000 miles on the clock, it was essentially stock with mostly original parts. The condition of those parts, however, varied wildly due to a healthy measure of neglect. What I'll call stage 0 here was really the fixing stuff stage. The car came with some records, but they were spotty at best, and when the dash lights actually worked, the cluster was a Christmas tree. The car also wasn't running right, and the paint had been literally attacked by a herd of cats. So, I spent the first year or so sorting out random electrical faults, chasing down a limp mode trigger that turned out to be a combination of O2 sensors and a bad coil, and then applied better safe than sorry, and had the barn man, Tennessee's resident NSX whisperer, do a belt service on the car so I could be confident that it was actually up to date. Between myself and Barnman, we chased down several fluid leaks and got the car running smoothly. The last thing that I would consider being in this stage was taking an aspiring detailer up on a discounted paint correction to help his portfolio. I think it came out pretty well and finally had the car looking like someone cared. As I started to put the car through its paces by way of a season of autocross and its maiden track outing at Little Talladega, things started to present themselves as either age or fatigue related issues, or things that very obviously could use updating. The degree of body roll exposed through autocross use led to sway bars, the search for grip and a modern aesthetic led to wheels and tires, the sticky tires managed to snap a wheel stud and then push the ancient dampers past their breaking point, which then led to some ARP studs and coilovers. Along the way, we did another belt service courtesy of a delaminated balancer and preventatively upgraded to MLS head gaskets after suspecting a flaw in the originals from asking a lot of the old motor. An arc tailpipe rounded out the changes for a little extra bark to match the look. This stage ended in what I would call the car's modeling phase, with the bigger wheel package, slight lowering from some KWV3s, the more aggressive exhaust note, and the cleanest overall appearance probably in my ownership. Stage 2 really kicked off with competition aspiration. I had climbed to the top of the NASA HPDE ladder and therefore had the option to graduate to a license of some type. NASA time trial rules did not mandate any intrusive changes to fit a roll bar or cage, so I got my check ride, got the car's annual tech, and then we started chasing seconds and tenths. In that chase, the need for predictable braking led to ditching a failing ABS system in favor of an updated version. The rulebook then dictated most of the subsequent changes, like the allowance for headers, no need for catalytic converters, and the addition of a front tow hook and fire extinguisher. In trying to run whatever part of a season that I could afford, I was also going through tires quicker and needed to economize. So I sold my blingy Advan RZs to downsize to a 17-inch all-the-way around RPF1, but in gold to keep some flair. That saved me $100 per tire on the rear, and also let me run Toyo's R888 semi-slick tire, which was the stickiest thing I could spec at the time while staying in class. The pinnacle of Stage 2 was certainly quick, but it was honestly not the most fun to commute in due to the aggressive tires and straight-piped exhaust. For better or worse, a NASA TT rule reformation put me out of my misery, and on to Stage 3. With a lack of motivation to afford the aero composites and oil system mods that would have been necessary to stay competitive in TT, I instead decided to pivot to another purpose. Spurred on by some critical life changes, I wanted the car back to traveling comfortably while still retaining most of its on-track poise. High-flow cats replaced the resonated test pipes, a new tailpipe meant the interior was now conversational at interstate speeds, worn ball joints got refreshed to eliminate some steering shimmy that had crept in over the years, and while the gold wheels stayed, the semi-slicks made way for some of the now nearly as grippy but much more well-mannered 200 treadwear tire options. As Liz and I, in some combinations, started traveling all over the US to drive different tracks and attend events, we made other small tweaks like adding a 3D printed cup holder, some hidden USB outlets, and LED headlights for those inevitable night runs during cross-country trips. The COVID semi-lockdown in the US then spurred a round of refresh work that left us set to resume road trips and racetracks as that situation became more of a known quantity. These seats got recovered, I did the car's third or fourth major service myself, and we re-replaced some track-worn components like the headers, radiator, and others. We then hit a few bucket list tracks before things took a hard left in Arizona in 2022. The Lap of the World Stage 3 NSX was a competent road warrior and mostly solid track rat. We've covered this extensively in other videos on the channel, but the short version is Rod Knock, Shenanigans, Stage 4. With Science of Speed already having the car post-failure in Phoenix and it ending up with a new 3.2-liter bottom end, we wanted to set ourselves up for success in the future, so along with the rebuild, we came away with more sensors, a race dash to keep us better informed about what the car was doing, and a short list of other items that they bookmarked at my request for me to tackle later. Once we had the car back in hand, we promptly took it to the track for a last shakedown and official clean bill of health, setting a personal best at Atlanta Motorsports Park at NS Expo 2023, and then proceeded with tying up loose ends, changing out the prehistoric fuel pump, dialing in a more robust fuel pressure regulator setup, and finally replacing the thoroughly road-worn front bumper cover, leading to a car that looks more representative of an NSX and boasts a better power-to-weight ratio than any factory NSX this side of Japan. In its current form, our NSX strikes what seems like a very good, if not yet perfect, balance between being able to drive in relative comfort to a racetrack while retaining the capability to turn some competent laps once there. And that brings us back to the present. We have finished rebuilding and refreshing, for now at least, and we have, as we shared in a recent video, we have equipped ourselves with the data that we'll need to potentially point to what's next. What is next? I'll be honest, I don't know yet. Perhaps we'll pursue some stuff with oil cooling, since we know that was a limiting factor for us on the track. We might explore some weight loss, both the car and myself, who knows. But for now, that's probably where we're going to leave it. Once we do know what's next, we will of course bring you along on that journey. But for now, thanks for watching. As always, I'm Richard, this is Lap of the World, and we'll see you all in the next video, if not at the track.